What is up, beautiful people? My name is Sky, aka Sunshine FC, and I'm really excited to start this new series on the channel titled W.T.L.F, which is Women That Love Football. And the first guest, we're starting off with a bang. I'm really excited. I have Teema here from the Gold Diggers podcast, and they actually won the Spotify Sound Up winner in 2022. But outside of that, she's been on BBC 5 Live, BBC London Sport, BBC News, and the football show on BBC. So outside of just her amazing podcast that she has with some awesome co-hosts, she's done a lot of work individually, talking about football, talking about other things in culture, pop culture in the UK. So she definitely has a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. I won't hold this against her, but she is a Chelsea fan, so we'll learn more about that from her as well, because I know she prefers London to be nice and blue. So we'll get into that. But thank you again, Teema, for coming on. I'm going to bring her up, and we're going to talk about her journey in football.
Thanks for having me. What an introduction.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get into this. So before we talk about everything that you've accomplished up to this point, I want to know how you fell in love with the sport. Did you play? Were you watching a game? What happened? How did you fall in love with football?
So I have to take you back. I'm not going to age myself, but I was a particular age, maybe 4 years old.
We're the same age.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was about 4 years old. My dad was a Tottenham fan. And
Wow.
He sat me and my brother down. It was the 1994 Cup final. And he said, now, children, you can't support Tottenham because all they will do is break your heart. So you've got to choose between these two teams. 1994 Cup final was Manchester United versus Chelsea. So before the game, me and my brother picked Chelsea. What happened over the course of that game? Chelsea lost 4-0. And after the game, my dad came back and said, do you still want to stick to your decision? Do you want to change? And we were like, nope, we're going to be Chelsea fans. And to be honest, like, we lived in West London at that time. I moved to Southwest London. I live in an area that is very predominantly dominated by Chelsea fans. Chelsea's not far from where I live. Literally the women's team play very, very close to where I live. So, Chelsea have been dominating my life for so long. You asked me whether I played. I did play at school when I was younger. I can't say that I was very good, but back then there wasn't that many girls, young girls who were into football. And if you're going to pull together a school team, you're going to basically pick those who probably had some vested interest. But yeah, I was never a player, but I was an avid listener from watcher, from very, very young.
Well, I have to say, I give your dad a lot of credit, because I always joke around and I say, how could someone let their kids become Tottenham fans, or just like let them root for them in general? So to hear that your dad was like, listen, I love you enough that I'll let you root for somebody else.
Honestly, I used to laugh with him about it and just say, you literally saved me from a lifetime of misery. And yeah, we used to have this bet actually that whoever, if Tottenham finished above Chelsea, we'd owe him £5. And until the year before he died, we never gave him any money. And unfortunately, the year he died, Tottenham actually finished above Chelsea. So he never got £5, but yeah, he basically saved me, my brother. Honestly, it's one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that he's not with you anymore, but I'm sure that helps, deepen your love for the sport, because you had that bond with him on that, so I'm sure he'd be very, very proud of you and what you're doing. So you watched a lot. I think you and your co-hosts are so smart, and I love watching you guys because it helps me learn, because I'm new, to the sport, to all of this. So do you feel like watching it has helped you kind of understand what it is that, your knowledge, I guess, of the game, and given you kind of the desire to want to talk about it? Because it's not normal for a Black woman like us to be like, hey, I want to talk about football,
Yeah, I think definitely Gold Diggers. I haven't been there from the very beginning, but Gold Diggers is very inspirational because it's it's a safe space to kind of really talk to like-minded people who have the same interests as you and also look like you. I think that you know, when you're younger, so the way I got into gold diggers is because my brother didn't want to speak to me about football anymore. Like he was like, you need to go find other friends. I'm sick of hearing about it. You go on about it all the time, like,
I love
and
that.
you know, like when Chelsea lose or something really bad, you just want to get it off your chest. And he
Yeah.
was just like, I don't care. Like, go find some other people to talk to about it. And in the end, I did. But I think, yeah, it definitely. I'm a very competitive person, so Gold Diggers allows me to be competitive because I love going on there and laughing at other clubs, and so
Right.
that competitive nature comes out. And I suppose it's inspired me to watch much more football in terms of rival teams, because I love it when Arsenal lose. Honestly, there is nothing that gives me other than Chelsea winning. It's the most joy I get. I love it when Tottenham lose. Like, I love it, love it, love it. I also love it when Man United lose. I'm not gonna lie, but it's not as passionate because I don't have that same dislike for Manchester United. But I suppose growing up and seeing the different eras of football that I have, and seeing the Henrys, the Alan Shearers, the Wayne Rooneys, Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously, like, it deepens your understanding. But I suppose one thing that was really underrated, and I'm really going to expose myself for being this video game geek, it wasn't playing FIFA, it was actually playing Football Manager. And before Football Manager, there was something called Championship Manager. So you basically, for those who don't know, it's like a video game where you can basically pretend to be a manager, and you get to have,
Yes.
they have that, obviously their scouting system is actually something that is so deep that some football clubs scouting departments actually use it. So
No
that's
way.
what basically I developed like a really good understanding on like young players who are coming up through the system, or like who is going to be like really good in a couple of years time.
Yeah.
I don't have time to play it anymore, but definitely when I was younger, in my younger years, I used to play it avidly, and
Yeah.
that, you know, gives you different understanding in terms of also the decisions managers have to use and all that kind of stuff. So I suppose, like, yeah, like there is that understanding of the game, watching the game, but also like playing something like Football
Right.
Manager. Oh,
Oh, I love to hear that. So you mentioned like growing up, you know, your brother, I mean, I'm not sure what age you were when he was like tired of it, but like at school or anything, did you always find yourself in conversations about football? Were you always like bantering with everybody? Like what was that like?
so let me take you back. This is a bit of a crazy, like, not wild story, but it's a long story. So it's not very common in the UK anyway to get the school bus. So the school bus comes picks you
Okay.
up. I know in
Yeah.
America, obviously, that's much more of a common thing. But me and my brother used to get on the school bus, and between us, there's 18 months. So he's 18 months older than me. So getting on the school bus when I went to secondary school, I used to hear him and his friends like, just so there's two friends. One of them was a Chelsea fan. One of them was was a Man United fan, and he used to part this Man United fan on a daily basis. And this is back when Chelsea weren't competing for titles.
How
When
could you
we
rip
were,
apart then?
oh my god, honestly, they used to rip him. It was,
Oh
and you
my
know what?
goodness.
They used to rip him, and because he was alone, and like there's two versus one, and it's the most ridiculous thing. Now, I don't know how they really got away with it. And hearing this, and sometimes even chiming in myself, and so then me and my school friends also used to get the bus, and then we evolved to get the public bus, and then as we got older, yeah, we got the public bus, and then it was me, my friend who's a Chelsea fan, and we had two other friends who were Arsenal fans. And this was when Chelsea just got taken over by Roman Abramovich. You had the Henrys, and Arsenal really hated Chelsea. So every morning we used to get the bus. We used to get on the on the top deck and just be arguing about who's the better team, like to the point where people from different schools would tell us to shut up. You always screaming about football, da, 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 da. But we used to literally every morning just argue about football, argue, is it Drogba, is it Henry, like are
Oh, wow.
Chelsea like this
Mhm.
or Arsenal like this, like failures in football, and Wenger's nothing and Mourinho's this. It was like honestly constant for about 4 years. So you kind of like develop, and I suppose that's where my hatred of Arsenal really
Yeah.
grew. But yeah, like there was always, I was always talking to football on the playground to the boys in my school about football because girls didn't really like
Right.
football. arguing in the common rooms or the playground or the school field, even in classes. We used to just constantly talking about football. And I think that's where really the passion really like grows.
Mm.
Is that when you're young, it really dominates your whole being, kind of, and you really allow it to dominate your mood. So if Chelsea win, you go into school and you're just like, yeah, this is amazing, love it. Your team's crap. Chelsea are the best team in the world. And but if Chelsea lose the big game and you're going into school, you know that you're gonna get the barrel. So I suppose, yeah, that's kind of where it started, the conversations that I used to have, and how it's like really developed into what it is today, to be honest.
That's amazing. I love to hear that, because obviously growing up in America is different than in the UK. And so just to hear you guys bantering like that, I would absolutely love that if I was a kid, especially because I played sports. But you're talking to your classmates, your brother's like, you need to find friends. I can't do this anymore. When did you get to the point where you're like, I need to talk to, like, did you just start posting online? Like, where did you get to the point where you're like, I need to share my opinion, I want to share my opinion.
I've always had Twitter. So my brother being sick of me was only about 5 years ago, I should say.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So he lived with it for a very long time, but it was really a time. And I've always shared my opinion on Twitter. So I always used to tweet, but didn't really have a lot of followers. And then it's a bit of a, I don't know how far to go in this story. I'm like a talker.
Go as far as you would like.
I can ramble. So it's a sad story, but with a positive outcome. Okay. So a guy I went to university with unfortunately passed away. And at that time, we all came together, went round the house, and I saw people that I hadn't seen in years, like years and years since university. And there was this one particular guy that I reconnected with, and he actually connected me to Anita. So Anita and Bree are the founders of Gold Diggers. So I followed Anita, and she invited me on, I think, Football Fracas, another like Twitter podcast type thing. And this is just after Chelsea lost. And I don't know whether people know me, but when Chelsea lose, their head loss is insane. And at this point, we had Lampard in charge, and I think we'd lost to like Aston Villa, and I was calling him Brexit FC manager, saying all sorts of things about him. And then a couple of months later, Anita announced that she wanted more people to join Gold Diggers. So then I thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity again for me to like express myself, to talk to like-minded people. So then I joined the podcast. But in the meantime, Chelsea were going through this huge transition in terms of a couple of seasons later, the sanctions, and on that point on Twitter, the spaces were every single day for hours and hours.
Wow.
So what I used to do is I used to listen to spaces and just do work or just do life. But I'm not a very confident person. I don't know whether people actually know this. I'm a very nervous, introvert, extrovert kind of like borderline. So I would never like go on spaces. But again, like it's always when Chelsea make me lose my mind. So Chelsea, as obviously the sanctions, the new ownership are going, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go on spaces. And then that's where I built my own platform, as well as doing Gold Diggers. So basically Chelsea head loss means I come out of my shell and expose the world. If Chelsea are doing well, then you probably don't hear from me, but
everything's calm.
Everything's calm. But yeah, I think what I've learned on this journey is that everyone has a valid opinion. And I think that football Twitter is a very brutal place.
Yes.
It's not for the weak. And I think it's allowed me to be a bit more calm as a person, because as a woman, as a Black woman who has their face on their account, the abuse you get is insane. But what you realize is, what my brother told me, because there was one particular moment recently that really got to me. And he was like, these people don't know you, Teema, and actually their opinions do not matter. And a lot of them do not have the confidence or the bravery to even put their faces out there to like do what you're doing. Like, so you can't let random people kind of really get to you. But I understand like why people don't want to be on Twitter, don't want to share their opinion, don't want to really be in this space, because you've got to have thick skin. You have to have a very thick skin and a very strong mindset and a very good support system, because it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
No, you're 100% spot on. And I mean, that leads us into like, what's that been like for you as a Black woman, on social media? I think it's amazing that you have the support system you have with your Gold Diggers crew, that you guys can lean on one another. Has that helped you at all as you've shared your thoughts and opinions? Because I think obviously there are a lot of men in this space. It's we're talking about men's football most of the time. So it's a bit different for them. I don't think that they can fully understand what it's like for us to get told, go back to the kitchen like 20 times a day. So what's that been like for you?
Do you know what, like growing up, obviously, like you go to the playground, and even sometimes now, like you go into spaces and people want you to prove that you are worthy of listening to. So they'll ask you what Messi's mum's blood type is to prove that you have the knowledge. It's honestly absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, you don't know yourself, but you're asking me. But let me tell you, she's probably an AB. Whatever, man. It's just ridiculous. So it starts with that, and then it's like, actually, when you say something that they don't like, it's then get back into the kitchen. And the way I deal with it is, I don't like to cook, so I have no business being in that kitchen. Like, obviously, like if your mum loved to be there, your sister, your aunt, amazing. But for me, a kitchen is not somewhere. Like, tell me to go to the toilet, tell me to go outside, shopping. You do something I actually like enjoy. So sometimes you just kind of you have to look at the ridiculousness of the messages that you're receiving. I've had people tell me to go support another club, called me monkey, called me a zoo animal, told things about my mom, said things about my appearance. A lot of people think that by attacking me because I have a gap, that's really going to get to me. But I've already told you, I have an older brother. I have been through this game. He has insulted me in ways that you wouldn't believe. Like, I've been preparing for this moment for a very long time. I think people try to like pick on your insecurities because they just don't like what you're saying, and fundamentally can't handle somebody having a different opinion to them. I also think it's that, and also jealousy. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, we need to make podcast mics more expensive. They're just giving anyone podcasts these days. And it's just like, okay, you make a podcast and see how easy it is. If it's so easy, please go and make a podcast and then come to me and tell me about the price of mics, or how easy it is, or how easy it is to achieve this stuff, or they're going to give it. Because if they were giving it to everyone, why haven't they not given it to you? And most of the time they don't say anything. And I'm definitely one of those people who will clap back. But I'm only going to clap back for a moment, and then I'm going to move on with my life, because I don't take disrespect lightly. But I'm also like, I don't know who you are, and you're not going to really bother me. But that is a different mindset, and I know that not everyone has that. The Gold Digger girls are amazing because I think pretty much everyone's had their moment of insults or people saying really, really difficult things. And if you share that with the group, there's always going to be that level of support there, because everyone is going through it at the same time. But I think it's really difficult. And I think, unfortunately, as Black women, it's something that you have to accept is going to happen, and something that you have to kind of really prepare for. So I really hope that it doesn't discourage people from going out there and putting themselves out there, but you just need to know what you're getting into and understand what you can do to kind of really support yourself. But I think more, honestly, like it shouldn't be such a detriment that people don't do it. I think more like there needs to be more people like us in this space, 100%.
No, I agree. And I do think that having them has kind of given you a bit more confidence to, work independently on things, or, like, has your brother, like, what has given you that confidence? Because I know it doesn't come across to me that you're not confident. So hearing you say that was kind of shocking to me. So kind of what fuels you to, work independently outside of just the podcast?
I think definitely a podcast, because the podcast and the people I do the podcast with, obviously, like, they're so encouraging in terms of people exploring our own individual stuff, and also knowing that, like, I'm doing something and contributing to something, and my contributions is valid and, like, is really respected and really enjoyed. I think that, obviously, as I said, I don't underestimate the spaces on Twitter, and really interacting with other Chelsea fans or other football fans, and understanding different levels of opinion, and understanding that no matter what, I have a valid point. It doesn't mean it won't always be to everyone's taste, and actually most of the time people disagree with me, but understanding that I definitely have something to contribute to this space. And definitely my brother has been a very, very big who's definitely pushed me in still does, and he knows that don't always listen to him, but he's definitely always been like, no, you are talented, you've got something to offer, you should be brave and take that step. But it's very difficult when you don't have, like, being in Gold Diggers is fine, like, you go, you record, you're surrounded by people who you like, who support you, but being by yourself is very exposing. I commend you, like, you've gone into this space single, like, with no one, and you're doing your thing, and that is very exposing when you're, like, literally have your own platform, and then open to all sorts of things. But I think it's important, though, because I think I have to be independent from, like, Gold Diggers is part of me, but it's not all of me. And I think it's important to kind of grow my own personal brand outside of that, because that would help the podcast, but also help to kind of really inspire other people to do something very similar.
Absolutely. And I love seeing you guys, like, when you're posting things on TikTok, and I know we troll each other in the comments, but it's just good to see individuals, who look like you doing the same thing as you. And it's encouraging. It's encouraging for me too. So switching from that, we'll come back to this in a little bit, but I do want to talk Chelsea just a little bit, we have to. We're halfway through the season right now, and you have a new manager. How are you feeling? Do you have any expectations for how you want the season to end?
You're going to expose me. I'm not very happy.
Okay, let's get into it.
I'm not happy for a number of reasons. I think that it's a bit. I think Chelsea is a very complex club, and it always has been. Like, from the moment I started supporting them, and I know that everyone will say that about their club, but I think particularly Chelsea, in terms of the ownership journey, I think we have an ownership that has come in and has obviously decided to invest heavily in a particular project, and a project that I never thought was going to work from the moment that I read about it, it's always patience. It's always let them cook. We can see progress. They're going to take us somewhere you don't understand. You're being unfair. Like, Roman wasn't taking us anywhere, and I can't deny that there hasn't been progress. But in order to understand where I am today, I have to go back to the sacking of Tuchel.
Okay.
The sacking of Tuchel for me was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in football in my lifetime of being a football fan. And the decision to bring in Graham Potter was probably even worse. So I've just contradicted myself. It's the second worst decision that I've ever had. And I understand, like, look, Roman Abramovich did something special with the club where he basically it was like his hobby, and he wanted to win, and he wanted to win now. And I understand that he needed to change because Chelsea weren't necessarily going in the right direction. However, the direction that this football club has taken since then has been nothing short of, I wouldn't say catastrophic, but close to. We're no longer a club that prioritizes winning. We're no longer a club that prioritizes signing the best players. We're a club that is interested in flipping players for money,
right,
in trying to buy low to sell high, to lower the wage bill, which is fine. But at what point do you think to yourself, when are we going to start winning? When are we going to go back to winning ways? They promised a lot and have delivered very little. And so you have got one manager wrong in Graham Potter. I have no idea why they brought back Frank Lampard. I don't understand it. Then you spend 2 months interviewing all of these managers, and apparently Pochettino is the best that you could come up with. A year later, you sack him because he's not the best anymore. And then you decide you want another manager. And then you look at Leicester City, who had just won the championship, and say, like, look, actually, Maresca's the best player. It's fine. But then you don't, then you look at the squad and then you don't plug the gaps. So you still need, after spending 1 billion, over $1 billion, you still need a very good keeper, top keeper. You still need a top centre back. And then you still need a top striker. Mm-hmm. So I say all of this because these are still things that are true today. And these things have been true for like a number of windows. I also think to myself that they allow themselves to get excited before allowing the process to finish. So a lot of the stuff earlier in the season at Chelsea in title race, they've done an amazing job in the summer and all of this kind of stuff. But then you fast forward and then you go through a period of a lot of games and then you see the weaknesses in the squad. Then you go into January and then the best or your main target is Garnacho. Now,
I wanted that to happen so bad. You have no idea.
I was losing my mind. I was losing my mind. First of all, I don't understand his haircut. He looks like the guy from Saw. You know, that little puppet thing. That's what he looks like to me. And you're saying that this is going to be the answer to all of our problems. I don't think so. I think Maresca as well has a problem with trusting his squad, adapting. And I think that Chelsea are going to find it very difficult to finish in those Champions League places. And it's very frustrating because we're so close, but yet so far. I just don't really understand what is the priority here. Well, I do. I just don't think it's the right thing. So I know that's a very long, convoluted answer, but I'm just so frustrated. And I have been frustrated for so long now that I'm so tired. And I think Chelsea fans are finally waking up to the fact that we're not going nowhere fast, basically.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand. I feel like one thing that I think it's crazy with like you and even Arsenal is that you're so close, but I feel like you can't make the right decisions to get because Arsenal, if they had a striker,
please never ever compare me to that club.
Listen. But little tweaks and you guys are fully there because there's no way you guys are going to go and win something with your goalkeeper. I'm sorry. And my goalkeeper isn't even that great either. But with the things that Sanchez does sometimes, I'm just like, what are you doing? And then he continues to play him. But
the Sanchez thing, my campaign to get him out of the squad probably started the moment that Fabrizio linked us with Brighton's third choice keeper, and it hasn't changed. I don't know whether you've ever seen I always explain this. I don't know whether you've ever seen a footballer splatter on the floor. Do you know, like splatter? But the first game he played in the Premier League we were playing Liverpool at home. The goal didn't stand, but they had an offside goal, and this guy splattered on the floor. And at that moment, I already knew that he was washed. But at that moment, I realized he was a bum. Like, he was washed, but now you're a bum. And that's and then ever since then, it's been a very steep decline. I don't understand whether he's got nudes of the directors, of Maresca. It doesn't make any sense why he's been playing for so long. Because he showed us who he was at the beginning. We should have believed him. Right. I don't know why they're acting brand new. If I see that man back in the Premier League squads, I might have to go on a one-woman protest bridge until he is gone.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm right there with you because it's just the simplest things he does, and it's just I'm like, why would you decide to do that? And when he came out and Holland just kicked it right over him, I was like, what are you doing? Like.
And the thing is, like, you can tell that he's the type of person who just does things without thinking about it. Like, he just does things. Like, it's so erratic. And the thing is, like, he'll be having a good game. You think, oh, okay, I can finally relax. Like he's actually normal. He's being normal, and then all of a sudden he does something without thinking, and then he has this really silly look on his face every time he makes a mistake. Like, oh my god, I can't believe it. It's so frustrating. And then Maresca will come out and gaslight us to think that we didn't see what we just saw. It's so annoying as a man.
And then you move, up front, and I can't really speak much because our front line is probably the worst in the whole Premier League, right? But then you have inconsistencies with Jackson, right? I'm not saying he's terrible, but like it's inconsistent, right? It's inconsistent.
So I've similar to Sanchez, I've been on a campaign with Nicolas Jackson. Not as harsh, but maybe some Chelsea. Maybe if you read my tweets, maybe. But I've never really believed that he is good enough to lead the line for the club. I think he has done better than I expected, but he's still nowhere near where we need him to be. And I think that in terms of if Chelsea are going to be serious, if we're going to be a Champions League club, then we need to be looking at a leading striker in the summer. I think for someone who's gone 8 or 9 games now without a goal, that's not good enough. I'm sorry, it's not good enough. And I know he had his little purple patch at the beginning of the season.
He did.
We need someone that's a bit more consistent. But I mean, you're one to laugh at my strikers because boy, oh boy.
Hey, I said we were bad, okay?
The stuff that is happening at Old Trafford is...
and the fact that your club still was willing to take one of our attacking line is crazy. So I'm just saying, couldn't believe it when they were trying to get Garnacho, because I would never. So we talked about this. Where are you finishing? Like, what are your expectations? You win in the Champions League, right? A championship, whatever you guys are in. I don't even know what it's called. No shade.
Can you please have it's the Conference League, and it is a European trophy.
No shade, but all the shade. You're winning that, right? What are we doing? What do you want to do?
I wouldn't be so confident as to say Chelsea are winning that. Like, I think we should, but whether we
can't even say the names of these teams. What do you mean? You better win.
It's a Noah's Ark was something special, and I think it was at Nat Kim. They don't know this. Civet. I don't know. Anyway, we should win it. I've always said Maresca can stay if he gets us top 4 and wins a trophy. Anything less than that, he can leave. I don't dislike Maresca, but I also don't think he's like the creme de la creme. Right. And for me, those standards need to be met. Top 4, or what I should say is Champions League spot, because if he finishes 5th and that gives us Champions League, then fine. But without that, he can leave. I don't have any. I've seen my favorite managers leave. Like, him leaving is nothing to me. So And sorry, can I just say, if he leaves, the sporting directors have to go with him, because I've had enough of them as well. Like, I'm completely like, the 3 of them can leave. That's what
I mean, I don't know if they will. That would be. I mean, I understand that, but I don't know if they would. I guess we'll see what happens. But okay, so top 4, maybe 5, and then that one trophy that I don't even know. Okay, makes sense.
maybe you'll get to know. No, actually, you're not going to be finishing in Europe this season, so I was going to say.
Yeah, no, listen. I don't want to talk about it. We're not talking about United right now. Do you have a favorite player on the squad right now?
No, they all make me feel sick.
Okay. I'm just curious because I kind of feel the same way about United. Like, I don't think I have a favorite player currently, so I was just curious.
Some make me feel less sick than others. Okay, what I will say is that someone like Enzo Fernandez has like massive improvements this season, and I think he's a wonderful player. Obviously, Cole Palmer, wonderful player. Neco's
come in and like really been positive for you guys.
It's been interesting, but I think the player of the season this season for Chelsea so far is by far Caicedo.
Absolutely.
I think excellent midfielder. And I also will always have a soft spot for Reece James, but as I said, they all make me feel sick until they do something that is valid. Like, none of these players are players that I think, wow, yeah, I'm going to get in the back of my shirt. No, not.
So, I might know the answer to this. I have been watching Chelsea so far your whole life. Best memory. I probably know what it is, but what is the best memory that you've had?
It's got to be Champions League final 2012.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was something else. I remember, like, because I went to watch it with my best friend, and I remember feeling sick for the whole week leading up to it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if people know, but Chelsea that season finished sixth. So if we didn't win the Champions League, we weren't going to play it the next season. And also, if we won the Champions League, it meant that Tottenham couldn't play the Champions League. So there was a lot riding on this. And I remember feeling sick. And that game, like, obviously went into extra time. Oh, it was just the longest. It felt like every minute felt like an hour, every chance. Honestly, I just felt really ill. I couldn't smile. The nervous energy in the pub we was watching it, and then the penalties, and my friend, every time I watch the Mata penalty back, I always say no pace, no pace, no power, no accuracy. And I knew he was going to miss, and literally missed, and I thought that was it. And I remember, I think it's Olic. Yeah, Olic. He was taking the penalty. My friend was like, he has to save it. If he doesn't save it, Teema, this is done. He has to save it. And as of course, I've watched that penalty back so many times. I would implore the listeners to go and watch it. He changes his mind about where he's going to put the ball 3 times. So you can see him running up. He changes his position once. So it's on his left foot. Then it's on his right foot. And then I think he finishes it on his left foot. Or it could have been the other way around. And I knew from that moment, I know it's like split seconds, I knew Czech was going to save it, because when you take a penalty, you need to go up and be sure. And then you got the Schweinsteiger penalty. And I saw it go onto the post, but then I thought it was going to hit its back and go in, and it didn't. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then Drogba scores, and I couldn't believe we won it, because of the journey we had been on to try and win this trophy for years. I couldn't believe we won it for probably like a week after. I was like, I kept saying to my friend, do we actually win it? It's like a dream. Like, what's going on? I can't believe it. Nah, it was the best. It's definitely one of the best moments. I think, followed by obviously the second Champions League as well. Like, there's something about being the first club in London, the only club in London with a European Cup, 2 European Cups. Even if Arsenal win it, I won't respect them until they've won 3. And to see your club kind of win every single trophy in your lifetime, something that Arsenal fans will never experience, Tottenham fans will never experience, West Ham fans never experience, is something really, really special. So they've given me the joy, but I need more, man. I need another Premier League or 2.
That's so special. Like, what is, I mean, this is going to sound really bad, but like, I'm a new United fan, so all I've experienced is like garbage, unfortunately. And I'm like grasping at like Sir Alex Ferguson and like what they did back then. What, just for me, this is a selfish question. What does that feel like when your club is like at the top? Like, I can't imagine. I would go crazy if we won a Champions League right now. Like, I can't even think like that, because we can barely like pass the ball. So
it's you know what, like, the team that won the Champions League wasn't the best Chelsea team I've ever seen, but it's amazing. I can't explain it. And I think I know that I troll Arsenal a lot, but to be the first club in London as well, the capital city, is like, it's something that can never be taken away from us. So I think everything around that game, everything that was on that game was like incredible. The pressure was incredible.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a point where I never used to check Chelsea results, because I knew they were going to win. And that right there, that was where, under Mourinho, I think the first season, we literally only lost 1 game. That right there is something that I wish I could go back to. I was watching the Liverpool-Tottenham game yesterday, and I was thinking, I wonder, what does it feel like? I can't remember what it feels like to just watch your team and know they're going to win. Like, that right there is something that I did experience, but I was too young to understand how special that was. And so I really need that back. But when you see your team reach the pinnacle, it's unbelievable stuff.
That's great. I mean, I would prefer you to always win over Arsenal. So, I mean, just again, Arsenal's recently their other cup, they won't be able to win. So they're basically just Champions League. And I know they're not winning that. So, It's really awesome to hear that. So, and I agree with you too, because I even said the other day, I was like, it's really, well, I'm a United fan, so it's kind of hard to see Liverpool dominating like every competition they're in. So that's been hard to watch, but I can't wait. I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon. You probably don't want us to, but
well, you above Arsenal any day. So as long as Arsenal and Tottenham, I don't really like Liverpool, but they're the lesser of the three evils for me.
yeah.
So is what it is at this point.
Yeah, well, I don't think you have to worry about Tottenham anytime soon either. So I think you're in a good spot. Now it's just about you guys improving. So we'll see how that goes. But just to wrap things up briefly, we talked about your journey, your love for football, talked about, your love for Chelsea, which I've loved hearing all of that. Let's say you're sitting down maybe with your younger self or another young girl who wants to talk football or just, has that passion for sport. What's something that you would share with her to encourage her to lean into that?
I think you always have to persevere and understand that your passion is way more powerful than anybody else's trolling or anyone else's criticism. And as long as you have that passion inside you, you should always keep going. I think that obviously this industry is not for the weak-hearted. You may not always get the recognition that you deserve, but doesn't mean that you're not out there inspiring other people as well. So I just think it's like about keep going, keep being passionate, keep growing your knowledge, and just really always looking for ways to improve and understand how you can connect with your audience in a really positive way.
Love that. Maybe play some Football Manager as well.
But they just announced that the 2025 version is getting canned, so you might have to 24 or wait for 26. But yeah, you just got to find a way of growing your passion. And sorry, I know that you want to wrap up, but one of the other things I would say is that women's football as well. I know that's really a lot of men kind of like are really dismissive of it, or a lot of people are really dismissive of it. But women's football is going to blow. And I think it is something that is here to stay and something that is so amazing to kind of really see. And I think that more people should be invested in it. And yeah, this is a bit of a call out of Ineos, because I think that there is so much room for growth and so much room for success. So actually, maybe the women's team is where you need to be concentrating on instead of the men's team.
You might be right, because I would be a lot more happy, if I focused on them. That's for sure. So that's and I'm glad you brought that up. So definitely think that's something that I need to focus on and look into moving forward. So before we close, like, where can people find you? Do you have anything coming up? Let us know where people can engage with you on social media.
So my Twitter account is Teems_GH. So that's TEEMS_GH. The same for my TikTok, which I need to get a lot better at, I know. And then on Instagram, I'm Teems31. So definitely check that out. I've got a few ideas in the pipeline, but I can't really commit to anything too much. So but definitely keep your eyes peeled. Happy to engage with anyone if it's going to be positive. If not,
yeah, absolutely,
then no. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I definitely respect you and look up to you and what you've done. So thank you for spending time with me. I feel like I've been encouraged from just hearing you, and I definitely want to keep posting and talking about football. Just your passion and your love, not just for the sport, but for your club, has encouraged me. So thank you for sharing that. And it's been a great time. Thank you.
Yeah, I've loved it. Hopefully it doesn't. I was hoping I could get you to change your mind about supporting Manchester United, but maybe that's for another time. But I just want to encourage you as well, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I love your TikToks, honestly. Your trolling is second to none. So definitely keep doing what you're doing, keep inspiring others, and I'm really looking forward to this series that you have and listening to other people's journeys as well. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course, yeah, wonderful debut. I'm so excited we got to start this series with you. So, as just for all of you that are watching, everything for Teema will be in the description as well. So I'll have everything linked there, so you can be sure to follow her on all her platforms and help share her content as well. Definitely want to keep supporting her. But thank you guys for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.